A hologram shimmered to life above Earth's orbital embassy. Dozens of alien representatives stood in a semicircle, cloaked in ceremonial garb, expressions unreadable to any human but radiating the same message: finality. Archconsul Virex Null stepped forward, his elongated frame rigid with practiced authority. His voice, though filtered through the translation mesh, retained a subtle sneer. As of this rotation, by unanimous decision of the Galactic Council, the species designated Homo sapiens is hereby expelled from all interstellar affairs. Trade, travel, and transit privileges are revoked. Enforcement begins immediately. This is for the preservation of galactic order and the safety of its people. He paused, letting the words settle like a judge's gavel. Earth has wandered too far. The feed cut. Silence held for a beat longer than necessary in the Soul Defense Hub. Then Elara Voss blinked once, leaned back in her chair, and exhaled like someone told her coffee shop was closing early. Right, she muttered. Guess that's it then. Around her, the control room stirred. Engineers, analysts, and envoys stared at their displays, half expecting missiles or maybe a bureaucratic knock at the door. Nothing came. Just Earth. Spinning, self-lit, sovereign. Elara stood, flicked her wrist, and a holomap of Sol bloomed into the air. Thousands of autonomous habitats, orbitals, quantum relays, asteroid foundries, and AI-managed climate shells. Open channel, she said. Level 0. A soft chime answered. Across Earth and the outposts of Sol, encrypted nodes flickered to attention. To all command tiers. The Council has formally declared humanity persona non grata in the galaxy. As expected, Project Entropy moves to Stage 3. All migration programs are suspended. No personnel are to leave the Sol system. Hold your positions. She paused, then added, with a shrug of her tone. Let them think we're stranded. A pause, then silence. No questions came. Elara turned to Chief Engineer Malkin, who was leaning against a console, arms crossed, waiting for her real opinion. Thoughts? She asked. He rubbed his stubble, glanced at the map. Council thinks we care. Elara smiled, a thin line. They always did confuse us with someone asking permission. By midday, Earth's net feeds were saturated with the ban. Civilian reactions were mixed, mostly amused. A popular meme featured Virex's six-eyed scowl captioned, "You're grounded." Below it, a reply, "K. We already built our own house." A few dissenting voices warned of long-term consequences. Interstellar commerce made up 12% of Earth's outer economy, mostly exotic materials. Still, Earth's fabrication systems could replicate almost anything now. The real concern wasn't access, it was visibility. "Do you think we'll get attacked?" asked a junior analyst in the Western Orbital Station. Elara, passing by, responded without pausing, "Only if they realize how badly they miscalculated." That evening, she met with the Oversight Assembly in a virtual chamber suspended over the Pacific Rim. 30 key figures, each representing major sectors of Sol, waited as she entered. Counselor Myung, elder stateswoman of the Martian Accord, spoke first. "They made it official. What's our stance?" "Unofficially," Elara said, "we don't react. Officially, we accelerate." A map of the Helios ring lit up, Earth's crown jewel. A solar lattice stretching from Mercury's orbit to Jupiter's edge, powering the entire system with AI-coordinated fusion relays. It had been self-sustaining for 2 decades. "Entropy is moving forward," Elara continued. "We no longer need council channels for communication, navigation, or materials. If they thought this ban would isolate us, they missed the point." Counselor Darrow, a diplomat bred on Venusian negotiation algorithms, frowned. "They might double down. Pressure others to sever ties." Elara nodded. "They might. But what happens when we don't collapse?" A silence settled over the room, thoughtful, not fearful. 12 hours later, Elara stood at the edge of Orbit Platform Series 9, overlooking the quiet sprawl of Saturn's rings. Behind her, technicians loaded microfabricators into outbound shuttles, each destined for autonomous terraforming projects in the outer moons. Her assistant, a soft-voiced AI named Pell, chimed into her ear. Council broadcasts indicate Jarelian fleets shifting patrol routes towards Sol border sectors. Expected, Elara said. One of the Orion-Link species has proposed a secret tech exchange. They want access to Anthropy specs in return for diplomatic shielding. She considered that. Small powers would smell opportunity. Not loyalty, not yet, but curiosity. Decline. Let them watch first. No promises. No partnerships. We move alone. Acknowledged. Later, as she walked back through the core of the platform, a technician, mid-30s, grease-streaked jumpsuit, stopped her. You think they'll come? He asked. Like ships and all? Elara stopped. Met his eyes. They'll come. Just not the way they expect. She stepped into the lift and vanished behind closing doors. In the vast quiet of Earth's system, nothing exploded. No invasions. No declarations of war. Just the slow hum of a civilization that had prepared for this outcome long before the Council knew they would deliver it. Back in her quarters, Elara opened a secure channel to an old friend, once part of the diplomatic corps, now living off-grid on Europa. The connection hissed into clarity. They finally banned us, she said. He smirked, half-shadowed. Took them long enough. She leaned back, the glow of soul behind her. Stage 3 is live. His eyes sharpened. Then the clock starts. She nodded. Let the galaxy play Empire, Elara said. We've got better things to build. The void around Neptune shimmered with faint latticework, lines of data pulsing through the Helios relay spine. To anyone else, it looked like a dormant structure. To those inside the project, it was a living artery. Deep within Relay Node 7, buried beneath layers of self-repairing alloys, a cleanroom hummed with artificial air and soft footfalls. Talia Vorn, lead architect of the Anthropy framework, adjusted her neural sync visor and stared into the abstract cosmos of human infrastructure, millions of autonomous systems, networks, nodes, and terraformed seeds, all branching from Sol like mycelium. She blinked twice, filtering to red-tier projects. There they were. Stage 3 initialization, complete. Civilian oversight, redacted. Outer shell deployment, T-46 hours. She exhaled slowly, lifting the visor. No alarms. No crises. Just the inevitability of prepared momentum. They think they caged us, she muttered, but we were never on their leash. Behind her, Dr. Alam Reyes, her systems partner, ran a diagnostic on the remote fusion forges. They'll notice once Stage 4 begins. When things start disappearing. Let them notice, she said. By then, we'll be somewhere they can't follow. Meanwhile, at the edge of Sol's gravitational curtain, a black hole drifted among the stars. SS Meridian Ghost, unregistered, untraceable, armed only with silence. Inside, Commander Rail Harrow watched encrypted pulses from Earth's deep core network play across the bridge monitors. The ship had been in motion for 3 months, a ghost runner on a path designed for no return. Receiving signal, his pilot said. Data-only burst. No voice. Rail nodded. Translate it. Priority feed. A wall screen lit up. Phase 1 of the shell is operational. Observer drones activated. Exterior emissions suppressed. Begin broadcast echo. He tapped the console, opening a link to the hidden comm array buried in the ship's spine. Time to be seen, he said. The Meridian Ghost's outer shell unfolded like a shadow shedding skin. Within minutes, dozens of false signals pulsed into nearby systems, mimicking the electromagnetic profiles of aging freighters, pleasure craft, and mining barges. Rail leaned back. They'll see what we want them to see. His comms officer frowned. Won't they suspect? They already do, Rail replied. But suspicion is cheap. Action costs them something. And they're not ready to pay. In orbit around Titan, Elara stood in a magrail station, watching the icy plains beyond the dome. She had come here not to inspect facilities. Everything ran on automated stability protocols, but to visit someone. An old engineer sat at a cafe booth overlooking the loading docks, sipping dark tea and watching the slow haul of robotic cargo cranes. He looked up as she approached. "You brought the storm," he said without greeting. "You helped build it," she replied, sliding into the seat across from him. He nodded. "The council always misunderstood us. They thought Earth needed approval, that we measured success by inclusion." Alara scanned the quiet station. No tourists, no off-worlders, just sole personnel. All of them moving with the calm rhythm of people who knew exactly where they were going. "You think we waited too long to cut ties?" she asked. "No," he said. "We gave them every chance to learn." She paused, then leaned in. "Stage 4 begins next week. Terraform kits are being dropped on Oort shells. The seeds will detonate once we're clear of the system's optical signature. After that, we'll disappear." He sipped his tea. "I hope they miss us." Alara smiled. "They won't understand what they lost." Halfway across the system, a Council scout ship drifted near the Pluto exclusion zone, watching. Listening. Lieutenant Drac, a Jarelian with moss-textured skin and a body shaped like a walking horseshoe, hissed softly through his breathing vents. "Nothing unusual. Earth activities remain localized." His second-in-command blinked their outer eyes. No deep space launches. No unauthorized travel. But their silence feels wrong. He tapped into the black box logs. No violations. No alerts. Yet, Drac didn't trust it. The humans didn't yell. They didn't panic. They simply turned inward. And something about that frightened him more than any fleet could. Below, in Earth's upper stratosphere, a cluster of satellites pulsed with rhythmic code. They weren't transmitting data outward. They were simulating delay. Every quantum packet passed through 1,000 redundant mirrors, deliberately slow, perfectly inefficient. It was theater, camouflage for something faster. Deep beneath Greenland's ice, an ancient facility powered up after a century of sleep. The vault, once a myth of Cold War contingency, was real and humming with energy. Hundreds of exocradles lined the chamber, each containing seeds of 1,000 environments, bacterial code, genetic weaves, and neurosynthetic DNA stored in memory crystals. They were not backups. They were beginnings. Alara returned to Earth the following dawn, stepping into a shuttle pad half buried in a re-wilded coastal plain of New Zealand. Birds nested overhead. Trees moved with quiet wind. No billboards. No gates. Her assistant Pell greeted her with a projection from a silver disc resting on a rock. "Welcome home, Director." She nodded. "Status. Seeding algorithms complete. Projected reach. 37 exoregions within 12 years, contingent on subspace drift tolerances." She knelt, brushing a sprig of wild thyme with her fingertip. "We never wanted war," she said. "We wanted to grow. To learn. And now," she stood, "now we leave them behind." In the council chambers 3 days later, Virex Null reviewed new intelligence from Sol. No spikes. No transmissions beyond the heliopause. No escalations. But something was wrong. "Why are they so quiet?" he demanded. The analysts gave no answer. Only data. Data that couldn't explain why systems as advanced as Earth's would simply stop talking. Virex's 6 eyes narrowed. "They're not obeying," he muttered. "They're discarding us." He turned toward the star map. Sol glowed dimly among the sea of council-aligned worlds. An outlier. An anomaly. A problem they no longer understood. In a bunker on Europa's third shelf, an ancient AI named Ternes came online, its first words running silently through subterranean walls. Initiating step function. Outer shell complete. Signal mirror active. Galactic sensors obfuscated. Humanity unfound. A timer started. And so, without war, without sound, without a single ship crossing the line, humanity began to vanish. But not to hide. To evolve. The Karelian archive ship Apex of Memory arrived in Sol's periphery at precisely 5:42 galactic median time. It moved with ceremonial slowness, trailing sensor webs and long-range probers like ribbons. Archivist Lanvel Kati, 8th-tier historical auditor, leaned forward in her observation sphere as Earth rotated into view, blue, green, serene. Too serene. No orbital clutter, she noted aloud. No chatter. No standard beacons. Her assistant, a thin-limbed praxi drone, scanned the void. Confirmed. No emissions above thermal background. No debris from industrial decay. Impossible, she said. They had nearly 20,000 active satellites. They've cleaned the sky. Lanvel frowned. That wasn't abandonment. That was intention. Near Mars, the SS Meridian Ghost watched the archive ship through its filtered lens array. Commander Harrow stood at the ops console, arms folded. They're sniffing, his pilot murmured. They'll find nothing, Harrow replied. Behind him, Technician Riku initiated Echo Protocol. With a single command, the Ghost's displacement field shifted, and the vessel slid 6 kilometers sideways, phased just beyond conventional optic. Like we were never there, Riku said, almost reverent. They came to document our decline, Harrow said. Let them record silence. On Earth, Ilara stood on the white sands of the desalinized Atlantic shelf. It stretched for kilometers, clean, untouched, teeming with engineered kelp and wave-powered turbines. Pell hovered beside her, its projector flickering with updates. The Council's cultural probe is in orbit. No requests for contact yet. They're waiting for evidence of collapse, she said, watching distant storm clouds gather. They'll find nothing resembling ruin. She gave a small, tired smile. Because we didn't collapse. We walked away. A notification blinked into view. ORT relay sequence. Active. Subspace funnel engaged. It had begun. 3 million kilometers from Neptune, hidden behind a cold asteroid belt cloaked in reflective dust, humanity's first city ship, Solace, stirred. Its internal biospheres bloomed with temperate rainforests, frost-resistant algae farms, and human settlements arranged like fractal veins. Inside one dome, children played beside a sculpted lake while technicians inspected thermal vents overhead. No alarms, no rush, just continuation. Talia Vorn stood at the observatory, hands clasped behind her back, as the last sync pulse arrived from Earth. All systems migrated. We've uncoupled. Her colleague, Dr. Reyes, checked his terminal. Solace can operate autonomously for 6 generations. Longer with maintenance cycles. Talia nodded. Then we're ready. Behind her, the vast hull began to rotate, generating artificial gravity for the first full departure sequence. In the council chamber, Virex Nall reviewed the Apex of Memory's preliminary report. Sol system shows no hostile escalation. Human technology appears intact. No evidence of resource conflict or internal collapse. Nall clicked his claws together in frustration. Then why the silence? His advisor, a glacial-skinned Xantari named Irol, tapped a claw tip against the console. Perhaps they've chosen isolation. Some civilizations reach saturation and fold inward. Nall growled. Humanity never folded. They pushed outward like wildfire. This isn't fatigue. This is design. He turned to the comms cluster. Prepare a Class 3 observation team. I want surface verification. Now. Within hours, a sleek Council lander dropped through Earth's atmosphere, drifting toward what used to be Manhattan. The city was gone. In its place, forest, hills, creeks, and engineered fauna. The ruins, if they existed, lay far beneath green growth and reconstructed soil. 3 observers emerged, clad in rebreather suits and scanner helmet. They moved in silence, collecting samples. One paused at the edge of a riverbank, kneeling to analyze the water. Pure, she said. No trace pollutants. Not even residual isotopes. Her companions stared upward. Where are the humans? The scanner chirped. Biosigns, none. Emissions, none. Infrastructure, hidden. Maybe, he said, they're just gone. No, the third replied, brushing aside a wildflower to reveal a buried panel glowing softly beneath moss. They're not gone. They're watching. In the vaults below Greenland, a quiet alarm blinked. A probe had landed. Its signal was being mirrored and looped. Aboard a listening station on the far side of Luna, an operator named Cam Reza leaned back in his chair, eyes fixed on the data cascade. They sent boots, he muttered. Across the console, his supervisor cracked her knuckles. Let them look. Just keep the mirrors in place. They'll dig. Then let them dig. They'll hit silence, polished to a shine. Cam grinned. You think they suspect? Of course. But that's the point. This isn't stealth. It's demonstration. He nodded slowly. We didn't vanish. We just stepped sideways. Far beyond the Kuiper belt, Relay Node X ignited. A fountain of compressed data burst into vacuum, caught by a fold-stream network mapped in forgotten physics. On board Solace, the stream arrived intact. With it, a message. Ilara stood beside Talia and Reyes in the command garden as a holofeed shimmered into view, thousands of other ships, domes, vaults, and habitats, stretching into the black. Humanity wasn't scattering. It was unfolding. She looked around at the small community near the lake, children building with printed stone, adults teaching them orbital mechanics like fairy tales. We used to chase planets, she whispered. Now we plant stars. Talia reached over, touching her arm. And they'll never catch us again. Back in the Council's Grand Archive, a young analyst compiled the data from Earth. She hesitated, staring at the final summary field. Status: unknown didn't seem correct. Nor did abandoned. She looked over the field again. Then, with careful keystrokes, she wrote, Humanity has withdrawn. Evidence suggests it was not an act of desperation but of evolution. She submitted the report. Above her, stars blinked across the domed ceiling, most of them bound by council lines, control, tradition. But soul? It now showed as gray. Unclaimed. Unreachable. Unbowed. In the dark between stars, the meridian ghost vanished into the blur of fold space, taking its silence with it. And the galaxy, vast as it was, felt smaller for it. Virex Null stood alone in the midnight chamber of the council core. The room was layered in obsidian alloy, reflective but never warm. Data panes pulsed around him, filled with reports, transmissions, silences. He waved one into focus. A live view from the apex of Memory's surface team on Earth. Dense forest. A grove where New Paris had once stood. The agents moved like insects among towering pines and long shadows. One knelt to uncover a composite shell embedded in stone. Data weave, alien to our registry, came the report. Sealed. No obvious access point. Null's jaw clenched. It's human. They're leaving breadcrumbs. His aide blinked. But not for us. Null turned from the pane. They're building legacy without us. In the northern hemisphere, the lander team reached the remnants of an ancient observatory, shattered dome, overgrown arrays. Beneath it, buried deep, they found a humming monolith. Active? One asked, brushing away dirt. No emissions. Just presence. Another agent pressed a scanner against its surface. It flickered. A voice emerged, clear, unfiltered. You look for answers among roots we no longer walk. We left, not in defeat, but in refusal. The words echoed. You banished us to punish disobedience. We embraced exile to escape stagnation. A silence followed. Then, soft static then. We are not your subject. We are not your concern. We are not yours. The monolith powered down. The agents looked at each other. No one spoke. Back in orbit, aboard the apex of Memory, Lanvel Kati stared at the transmission. That message wasn't automated, she said quietly. That was for us. Her assistant hovered beside her. Why reveal anything at all? She answered without hesitation. Because they want us to understand what we lost. In deep heliopause, the Solace coasted on inertia. It did not run. It navigated with purpose, traveling along pre-mapped energy folds, routes charted decades before the Council's ban. Talia Vorn entered the central chamber, where Ilara and Dr. Reyes were reviewing quantum relay data. They decoded the monolith, Ilara said, eyes still on the stream. Reyes nodded. Just enough to rattle them. Any response? Talia asked. A second diplomatic probe has been approved. They're sending a true emissary this time. Talia smiled faintly. Too late. Ilara's tone was calm, certain. Much too late. In the Galactic Council's upper atrium, rumors spread like contagion. The Archivist Guild had classified the monolith's message as cultural defiance. The Xantari bloc proposed a reassessment of the original ban. Some wanted contact reopened, but the core members resisted. Reintegration is impossible, Irol hissed to Nal. It would undermine the Council's authority. Nal stood unmoved, arms folded. They've outpaced us in stealth, infrastructure, mobility. If they become aspirational icons to our fringe species, the balance fractures. So you suggest containment? No, Nal said grimly. I suggest erasure. A hush fell. You can't be serious. I'm late, not blind, he snapped. We underestimated them once. I won't do it again. 3 weeks later, 5 stealth destroyers were dispatched under the veil of a meteor shower, loaded with quantum destabilizers, supposedly outlawed under the Pax Stellarum. Their mission: scour known human habitats in the Sol system. Make it look like collapse after all. The first destroyer never arrived. Its debris was found drifting near Saturn, hull sliced clean, no sign of energy weapon use, no radiation. The second vanished mid-jump. The Council labeled it fold stream divergence. Privately, they knew better. The third made it into Earth orbit briefly. Its final transmission was a garbled scream and an image. A sphere of matte black metal, featureless except for a single red pulse at its core. It was tagged only as Observer Class 9 Unknown Origin. The destroyer ceased transmitting. No debris was recovered. Inside the Sol system, in hidden bastions seeded long ago beneath Europa's crust, quiet teams monitored the Council's attempts. Ilara stood before a shimmering field map displaying failed incursions, response times, and interference points. They're testing us, she said. Bracing for war. Talia leaned over the display. They expect retaliation. We won't give it to them, Reyes said. No, Ilara agreed. We give them confusion. She tapped the map. Protocol Nova. Split the Exodus fleet. Scatter the remaining signal trails. Engage mirror arrays and ghost AIs. Make our path invisible. Talia exhaled. They'll think we're everywhere. Let them. The Council's upper chamber fractured weeks later. A collective of mid-tier civilizations presented a formal objection to the continued aggression against a non-hostile, self-isolated species. Archival records were leaked, showing Council sabotage of early human stations, the baiting of the Exo Treaty, the staged media collapses meant to justify the ban. Across the galaxy, unrest bloomed. A quote from the monolith began circulating in forbidden channels. We did not leave because we were lost. We left because you refused to see. Virex Nal watched his influence crumble. What have we done? Irol whispered. Nal said nothing. Because he finally understood. At the edge of galactic space, the Solace reached its relay terminus, a region beyond mapped Council control, where stars moved oddly and signals bent twice before returning. The fold engine spun down. They'd arrived at Anchor Point. A cluster of human cities, orbiting a brown dwarf, flickered into view. Dozens. Hundreds. All silent. Not abandoned, ready. Talia stepped onto the outer hull platform, staring at the network of domes, cables, habitats, and solar rigs. 5 generations of silence, she said. Not silence, Ilara corrected. Preparation. Around them, ships emerged, city vessels, colony arcs, research fleet. Human voices. Human lights. And beneath it all, a signal, clear, deliberate, echoing across long dead channels. We were never gone. We simply outgrew you. Anchor Point's core station, Miranda's Edge, hung silent above the brown dwarf. It wasn't a fortress. It was a statement, sleek, composed, impossibly advanced, and unmistakably human. Talia stood in the command gallery, surrounded by curved glass and holographic threads. No alarms. No warnings. Just a slow, synchronized hum, heartbeat of a civilization no longer hiding. Alara leaned in from the side panel. The council picked up our pulse. Talia didn't flinch. Let them feel it. We're not the ones broadcasting fear. On screen, the council's third envoy ship, the Ethon Dawn, entered view. It approached slowly, its sleek architecture dwarfed by Anchor Point's scale. It bore no weapons, no demands. Alara frowned. They're not here to intimidate. They're here to beg. Aboard the Ethon Dawn, Ambassador the Rex moved cautiously through the docking bay. Behind him, his advisors whispered among themselves, unsettled by the calm reception. No guards. No weapons. Just a narrow corridor lined with etched phrases in over 24 Earth languages. Progress does not wait for permission. We made homes in silence. What you see is only the beginning. The Rex paused. This is a theater, he muttered. His diplomatic aide, older, more weary, shook his head. No. It's a mirror. They stepped into a chamber where Talia Vorn waited. No throne, no platform, just a circle of evenly spaced chairs. The Rex's eyes flicked to Alara, Reyes, and a few other silent observers. This is your council? Talia gestured simply. This is how we speak as equals. The Rex took a seat slowly. The Galactic Council seeks renewed dialogue. Talia watched him, expression unreadable. You banned us. You erased us. You tried to reduce humanity to a cautionary tale. Now you want discussion. It was a mistake, he said. Some feared your independence. Talia smiled faintly. And now they fear what we've built without them. Back at Council Core, chaos brewed. Protests swelled on fringe worlds. Smaller civilizations demanded clarity. Why had humanity truly been exiled? Why was contact forbidden with the only species to master independent interstellar fold space? Nal watched a storm spiral into being. Entire districts of allied species severed diplomatic ties. One of the High Chancellors publicly defected. And across the archives, the monolith's message had taken root. We are not yours. Nal called an emergency session. We're losing control, said Irol. Not to war. To aspiration. Nal's voice was thin. They made themselves into a myth. And now we're just footnotes. Inside Anchor Point's strategy chamber, Reyes spoke quietly to Talia as she reviewed the envoy's full diplomatic request. They want trade routes, scientific exchange, cultural reinstatement. Talia raised a brow. They want to skip the reckoning. Alara tapped a console. We've outgrown the need to prove ourselves. But what comes next is a choice. Not revenge. Not dominance. But direction. Talia considered this. We never wanted to rule. But we can lead, Reyes said. She nodded once. Then we do it on our terms. The Rex sat alone in a private chamber afterward. His transmission to the council was brief. They will not kneel. They will not fight. They will simply continue, and they will leave us behind. They don't want war. They don't even want alliance. They want us to understand we are no longer necessary. The first official human broadcast to the galaxy in 80 years echoed from Anchor Point. It was simple. Talia's face filled the feed, clear, calm, alive. To the species of the galaxy, we are humanity. We were exiled, but never broken. Silenced, but never idle. Forgotten, but never lost. We found ourselves in the quiet. We built not a nation, but a civilization without borders, without empires, without your permission. We do not ask to return. We do not need seats at your tables. But we will speak. We will travel. We will trade. We will exist. On our own terms. If that is unacceptable, you may stay behind. The message concluded without signature. The ripples were immediate. Trade guilds begged for access to Anchor Point's tech. Navigation firms offered a fortune for even scraps of their fold drive blueprints. Former rivals reached out, not to challenge but to learn. And yet, humanity refused nothing, nor did they surrender anything. They opened routes on their terms. Shared knowledge without revealing cores. They released cures for diseases thought incurable, then vanished before questions could be asked. They sent engineers to fringe colonies suffering collapse, then left before statues could be built. They became something more than a race. They became a direction. Aboard the Solace, Talia watched the stars as new human fleets blinked into farspace. No invasions. No ultimatums. Just movement. They'll chase us now, Reyes said. They'll study us, Ilara added. Talia smiled. Let them. They'll find footprints, echoes, maybe answers. But not chains. A moment of silence passed, clean and sharp. Do we head to Phase 3? Reyes asked. Talia nodded. Yes. Beyond the galactic rim. Is it time? It always was. On the edge of known space, in a void untouched by council maps, a new signal flared. Not a weapon. Not a warning. A beacon. Carved into its pulse was a phrase in old Earth script. We were never yours to ban. And beneath it, coordinates leading beyond. Beyond what the council knew. Beyond where fear ruled. Into the quiet places where humanity had already been.